The Google Stadia director of product, Andrei Doronichev, held a Reddit Ask Me Anything this week where he responded to a lot of big questions that the community has about the service. One question and answer that I'd like to specifically bring up is when he was asked this question. If the Stadia service is discontinued, do we know what, if anything, will happen with games that we've purchased? Which is a really good question, because that's a big question that I had. So he stated that you would have the option to save your data locally if you want to, which I thought was really cool. I still didn't really think that it answered the question, because I don't think that it was really addressed of whether or not if Stadia would go away as a product if you would keep your games. But I did think that being able to store your data locally was a cool option for people. But he also said this in the same answer, which is a piece that I really wanted to talk about. And this is kind of a long quote, so I apologize, but this is what he said. So he said, moving to the cloud is scary. I felt the same way when music was transitioning from files to streaming. I still have all my old CDs in the garage, although it's hard to find a CD player these days. Smiley face. The same happened to movies and photos in my docs and other files, and it's great. Games are no different. Eventually, all of our games will be safely in the cloud too, and we'll feel great about it. So I have two points here that I want to make on that comment, and those are: one, I personally can see major distinctions between video games and music or photo. They're not the same thing. Number two, to continue saying repeatedly that the games are all going to be in the cloud someday and everybody's going to feel great about it doesn't make it any more true. You can say it 1,000 times. It doesn't mean that people actually want that to happen. So how do you feel about this particular comment? Because this is the one that I really didn't like. But just the service overall, or just anything else that happened if you got a chance to read it.
Well, I think if they're just going to force this cloud thing to go on, we're not going to have much of a choice in the matter. Like, look at Fallout 76. They sent out physical copies, and all that was in the case was a cardboard disc with a product key. You know what I mean? So whether it's Google Stadia, Bethesda streaming service, Steam, whatever, and whatever you want to talk, whatever example you want to use, if that's what they're going to push for and it continues to go that way, we won't have a choice either way. Yeah. I don't think they should be marketed at such a high price then too, because then you're, well, look at a physical, look at how much more is involved in the price of a physical copy and distributing that than a digital copy.
Yeah. I think that's the main takeaway for me from this is, everything's going to go to cloud. I mean, companies want this to happen because they're already paying. They're paying for the infrastructure in order to facilitate cloud services. So, and they want, and in the long run, it's cheaper for them. Like McNeil's bringing up, there's shipping to get everything. You got to manufacturing for everything when you're dealing with physical. So it's going to be a thing of the past. I don't know when, but it seems like it's moving at a really fast pace. The thing is, okay, if you're going to take the physical aspect, which has more benefits to the consumer, in my opinion, if you're going to take the physical aspect away and you're going to give us through, our products through cloud, then what do we get out of it? And the answer to that should be reduced prices.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It would have to be. I mean, think about how games were managed, I guess to some extent now, but much more when we were kids. You had the physical copies of games, and when you were done playing them, you went to GameStop or whatever was close by, you traded them in, and like they still held like monetary value towards like new purchases and things like that. That doesn't really exist anymore. I can't go on my Steam library and start trading in games that I don't play, because like there's nothing actually that I don't really, what do I own there? Like the rights to play the game, but there's no like, I guess once you take like the physical, the physicality out of the game itself or the product, you really don't have anything. Just kind of scary.
And then two things: you need reduced prices, like Ben said, and you need a guarantee that you'll be able to localize those files.
It seems like they are guaranteeing that you can localize
on a personal.
Yeah, I mean, who knows for how long, but it seems like that was like a promise. But I don't know. I mean, I understand that, like, I think just me personally, like, I'm trying to avoid being afraid of the cloud, which I'm really not. It just seems like it's something that I don't want. I don't know if you guys feel that way. I mean, maybe a lot of people do, but I just feel like even if the trend is moving that way and it's coming, I mean, I'll deal with it. I'm not going to stop playing games over it, but I just don't really see the need for it. I like having my hardware.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm in agreement with you. I understand the feeling you have towards this. I'm just a little bit more accepting of it because I just see it's inevitable. It's not in our hands.
It's being a realist rather than
Yeah. Well, I mean, Matt knows it's gonna fucking happen too. He's just.
Oh yeah.
He just.
Yeah, I get it.
He realizes it's important because it's giving some of it. When you own something and you have it physically, it's yours. You know what I mean? Like they can't take it away from you.
You have control over what happens to it.
Yeah.
Once everybody's on the cloud, there's gonna be no control. There might not even be like a great quality control. I mean, you never know. I mean, if everybody's already on the cloud and nobody has hardware, they can kind of do whatever they want.
Well, that's sorry.
And that's the scare, and that's like very pessimistic, but it's the truth. And I feel like with everything moving to the cloud, I mean, you really don't have much control over anything that you're doing right now in your life. Like you don't really own anything.
Well, that's the thing, and that's what we've gotten into when we've talked more extensively about Stadia. Is that feeling where like it could just be taken away from you. What if you don't have the devices or anything? Or you lose the devices or whatever. Or
are you any more afraid of looking at your bank account, and seeing your number rather than opening a safe and seeing money there?
Well, yeah. So that's what I wanted to say was we've made transitions like this in many different ways. So
I think
it's just we forgot about it and we've got used to it.
My take on it is I'm not really too worried about it because it's just like a changing of the times kind of thing. Yeah, it's like, well, am I going to lose access? I got 200 some games on my Steam library. Am I going to have those someday?
This is okay. So,
it's a lot of money I put on that.
I remember what I was going to say. So what we were talking about with Stadia was like once we lose some of those, we continually lose powers as consumers. That leaves us susceptible to degradation of quality because we don't have any more power. They can just put it out, and that's why they're trying to make video games so fucking big, is because like they could just put out garbage and make garbage, and people are going to buy it because it's like, oh, we've been playing the video games. We're not going to give up on the video games.
Oh, I'm already paying the subscription fee. I might as well buy the game.
It's like old people with news. Think about that. Like old people watch news all their fucking life. They're still watching the garbage ass news, and the news is like garbage, So it's like
that garbage ass news is garbage.
Yeah.
Really hitting us hard there, but no. To Josh's point when he said, like our bank account, like you see the number there, like you look it up on the app online or whatever, but you can still go down to your bank and withdraw at least a certain amount of money at any point in time. Like I feel like you don't have that same level. You may not have that same level of like assurance with something like the Stadia.
That's true. Well, that's true.
Even
but
Steam
you can
at
still
some points.
you can pop up your device and play your game too.
I think my main fear is like the losing access to the services due to like quote unquote bad behavior deemed by the people that control the games, which in this case is Google, which is like the worst company to have control of that. Because like they love trying to censor free speech. So like that's just something I really don't like. I think really my main problem is that it's Google and somebody else.
I think it's just like another avenue of somebody trying to push their way into a niche market, where there's already developed, Steam, Origin, GOG. Yeah, it's like, Google, what are you doing? Like, what are you just going to start doing the same thing Epic is and just buying.
Yeah, they are gonna. It's a company that makes money. They know that like video games are going to be the future form of entertainment.
That's the worrying part to me. It's just people just buying the rights to, these developers' games to sell them on their platform for, permanent,
Well, I don't know if that bothers me if the quality is there. And it's not saturated with garbage, with the political shit and stuff like that.
Like Steam and them, they're not like pushing this, like what were the two options you have for Stadia? Does anybody know offhand? You have like
it was the Pro and the
one.
Pro and the normal, yeah.
You can get like they said. I read on a tweet or something that said like in like 68 hours you could have over 1 terabyte used or 2 terabytes used or something like that. And there's still parts in this country that don't have unlimited data use. You don't see Steam, doing that.
Well, I think this is the funny thing about this is we talked about this Stadia one. I wish you were with us, McNeil. Was this? It's going to be funny to experience or to see this pan out, but this is kind of going to be like an urban thing to me. Like it's only going to be where the really fast internet is. People who are really taking advantage of Stadia.
Yeah, it's trendy too.
Yeah. So, and unless they have unless they have insight about something with technology that it's going to be able to be done. And they would,
They seem to think that the ISPs are just going to like raise the data caps like on the day that they roll this stuff out. Like they seem to have no worry about the data cap. Every time they're asked about it, they're like, "Oh no!" Like
not every place has data caps.
Yeah, but some people do.
Okay,
that limits their market.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
true. It doesn't limit. Yep.
What Matt's saying is like, do they just think that because in benefit of their platform, are these companies just going to raise their data caps for everybody and not charge them on top of it? It's just like, here's more money.
Yeah, it's really strange the way that they're like talking about it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sorry, I didn't pick up on what you're saying, Matt.
Screw that. For the people who want to use it and still see, like you guys had stated in previous podcasts, that you think it's going to be like a smaller window or group of quote unquote gamers using these games, until we actually see in the future, what devs they'll start buying rights to their games for, and what games we start seeing. There's no way to know how this is going to pan out until we start seeing what these libraries consist of, and people actually using it. But looking, I don't know. To me, it's just a big giant storm cloud because there's the data caps, no guarantee that, they're saying that they'll give you local, but here we go. We're hearing news about DDoS people, it's like all these different things can come in and cause instability for this platform.
Yeah.
And I'm just not with it.
The thing that I kept on repeating, probably getting annoying to Matt, is I think they have some insight. Otherwise, they wouldn't take this big of a, chance.
I mean, you're probably correct in thinking that, but we did talk about the pricing, Ben, and like you said that they probably had it figured out, and the pricing's fucking awful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm terrible. I know this is bad, but go ahead. Give me the rundown.
The standard package is essentially an advertisement,
right, for
their big one, and there's nothing there to say that they can't bottleneck.
So let me just ask a question real quick. The standard is the Ben Stradamus prediction, correct?
It's you have to pay for all the games full price. Is there a fee? Is there a sub fee for the normal? The Pro, there is a sub fee. You still pay full price for all the games, but you get like one free game a month that they give to you. They have like one free game that goes to all.
Oh, they gift.
Yeah, you don't get to choose it.
$130 up front and then $10 per month
for the Pro.
Pro.
Yeah.
And that gets you a
controller. And then what's the normal?
And then you get 4K resolution with up to 60 FPS. Yeah. And then the standard, the Stadia base, you get no upfront costs, nothing included. Yeah, you get
Is there a sub fee though with the normal?
Okay, so the Pro you get Chromecast Ultra, Stadia controller, 3-month subscription, Buddy Pass, Destiny 2, monthly cost $10 an hour, 4K resolution, 60 FPS, 5.1 Dolby Surround HDR color. It's also supports Chromecast Ultra computer with Chromecast, Google Pixel, and then it's like they're calling it the a la carte of either tiers.
The a la carte.
And discounts on game purchases, free games at regular cadence, early reservation of Stadia name games. So there you go. Early reservation of Stadia name. I mean, but then with the other one, you get 1080 resolution, 60 FPS with stereo sound. You get nothing else.
I don't like anything about this fucking thing. I don't like Google. No, I don't like Google. I don't like the service. I see no pro. I don't see one thing about it.
Your frame rate is essentially tied to your.
It stinks.
To your, your download speed.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's nothing there saying that they can't bottle. Like the big conspiracy was our ISPs are bottlenecking. The whole internet neutrality bullshit that we just went through over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
There's nothing here saying that they can't do the same thing here and bottleneck your FPS on the base version to incentivize you to turn around and give them that $140.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys have used a Chromecast Ultra, but I mean, I have one, and that's not a very good piece of hardware to begin with. Even just streaming like Netflix and things like that, using your phone, the app to go through it. I can't imagine the frustrations of trying to use that thing to stream something and have like a friendly user interface to get in and work with.
I've never seen some people with the Chromecast.
Them giving that out sounds like just a ploy to them is to, further puke this product out to everybody.
Well, I think that's
you
one
get
of the,
this, you get this.
They're just vomiting things out into the game sphere. They're like,
this shit's shady,
take
man.
Take this.
Well, I mean, Ben, we talked in great length about that podcast I listened to with Sam Harris and Roger McNamee. He used to be a consultant for Mark Zuckerberg, and he wrote the book Zucked. But he goes into great detail about how Facebook and Google build these products, especially Google, like Gmail and Google Maps and everything they've ever done, Google Glass, and they do it strictly to learn more about you, to build your profile, to advertise to you more and more. And I just see this as just another product that they can get you to use for, well, in this case, not a low price, but
oops, sorry,
just to get a bunch of data on you to advertise to you even better. And I don't like it. I'm not going to use it. No way.
It's data harvesting, and
it's slimy to the core. Everything that you hear about this just makes it sound worse and worse.
Well, and then I want to take a step back and think are we getting all worked up and angst up because it is Google? You know what I mean?
I don't want to see these guys
Google
come out with shit and then it have some even semi-success with whatever group of people you want to refer to as the gamers using it. And then you see other people turn around and say, well, they got away with it. So, now then Steam will turn around and be like, well,
yeah,
well, you can bottleneck their FPS count if we just, charge them streaming. So, I don't want to see this go anyway.
We'll see.
I know Microsoft is working towards it already.
Yeah,
they're already talking about that.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they teamed up with Sony? Or
they're both, yeah.
They teamed up for their cloud-based stuff.
Yep.
I just think their thing, I'm going to stand by what I said and say that I'm kind of just whatever with the whole everything moving to the cloud because we're already going there. But just the marketing that is coming out through this is what's worrying.
Well, then Matt is correct to feel the way that he is when there's practices like this.
I jumped on buying digital copies of stuff as soon as it started happening. I can't sit here and complain about it. I would be the biggest hypocrite ever to sit here and be like, yeah.
No, so did I.
I would much rather sit there, especially could you imagine having digital download when Halo 2 or, you're 12 and you're waiting for midnight? You don't got to be standing in some fucking line outside of GameStop somewhere to get your game,
Yeah, I think, Ben, I think I'm getting worked up because it is Google. I just don't like their practices, but I don't like the cloud stuff either. But
Google. Okay,
let's wrap it there. I'm sure we'll talk about Stadia again because it's one of my most. I love talking about it because I really don't like it. But